Zepla put up a video. I have no idea what the video is regarding, but as a 14 streamer, whenever you open the directory, there's a little bit of expectation here, especially on patch day. Somehow Zepla did not touch Final Fantasy XIV. Cannot believe she's playing Genshin Impact, no?
This is the first time that there's been a patch for Final Fantasy XIV, small or big, that I didn't log in for.
True. This is the
This
first
is the
time.
first time.
Yes. I watch her a lot. This is the first time.
Maybe even when I was not really playing a lot during Stormblood.
Now, with her opening statement, I'm now curious. I now wonder, right? Is she gonna be upset that she couldn't play it because of the situation? You know, she wants to play it, but she can't because of the situation? Or is it gonna be she thinking that, wow, for the first time I didn't play and then realize that I don't have to? I guess I can chill more. Like where does this go, you know?
In for a patch, even if it was a small patch. And some people are asking me why that is.
Did you guys see that? Final Fantasy XIV has been kind of mid after 6.0. I say this on my previous stream. Where the f were you in the last 10 years? You really think that it is only in 6.0 that this game became mid? Ever since Storm's Blood, every expansion has been the same. Except during 5.0, because of COVID, it got a little bit worse. Because you got a content drought that lasted 9 months of Eden's Verse and an ultimate that got delayed / cancelled. Otherwise, Final Fantasy XIV has been the same since 3.0. What do you mean 14 has been kind of mid after 6.0? It has been mid since 4.0. Where the f were you? I am not trying to defend Square Enix, you know? Because what I just said is literally on Square Enix, right? And Final Fantasy XIV, right? But what I cannot understand, right, is that why the f do players only start to realize at the end of the saga at 6.0 at 10 years later? Where the f you guys been? And that pisses me off, because now when you guys say this, it's like, do you know how much I personally gotten when I say this? For the last 5 years, since 4.0, I tell people 5.0 is not great. 5.0 is the worst expansion in terms of number of content and in terms of quality. There's one less ultimate and we have a content drop. Now, I know it's a COVID, but that doesn't take away the fact that 5.0 is the worst expansion. Oh my god, how dare you say 5.0 is a bad expansion? That's a L, Arthars. That's a bad thing. 5.0 is the best expansion. Endwalker, Shadowbringer was awesome. The story is great. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever I said, people shit on me because people think that I am intentionally trying to go against Yoshi P, against Square Enix, against Final Fantasy. And then when 6.0 happened, I tell people, well, 6.0 is not bad so far. I think 6.0 has got the potential to start to be as good as Storm's Blood, and or even better than Storm's Blood, even how bad Endwalker was. What the f you talking about, streamer? Endwalker has been f***ing awesome. The story made me cry. Did you not even cry when you watched the story? Elpis was awesome. Storm's Blood was Lise sucked. The story is so bad. And Storm's Blood was so bad. Omega was so bad. The raid was so easy. Ultimate is so easy. Lemao U Corp, Lemao Wu. Endwalker has been f***ing awesome. I'm like, are you guys for real? And then now suddenly, you got this mother coming out to say, yeah, Final Fantasy XIV has been kind of mid since 6.0. What the f you guys been? And all this I've been taking for the last 5 years. Is anybody ever gonna come up to tell me, you were right? I was wrong about you, Strummer. I'm sorry. Final Fantasy XIV did seems to have already been declining since 5.0. Wow, you finally realized that. What took you so long? Where the f were you? Azeroth? No. It's not just one guy. It's not just one guy, Luxury. It's not just one guy. I've been streaming this game for 7 years. Over the last 4-5 years, I've gotten a lot of shit when I say what I said. And I've been telling people Endwalker is alright. If you compare Endwalker to Storm's Blood, Endwalker is okay. And Endwalker is not finished yet. It could be worse. But so far, luckily, up to 6.3, up to this point, Endwalker is actually better than Storm's Blood. But the bar is so low to begin with. And that bar was set 4 years ago. So for Endwalker to finally be as good as Storm's Blood, which was a standard set 5 years ago, it's not good enough. Endwalker should be blowing the park out of Storm's Blood already. Like, everything should be better already. But yet, now we are only sitting here thinking, in terms of content to content, quality to quality, look, Savage is Savage. Ultimate is Ultimate. U-Corp and DSR is the same experience when you first proc U-Corp and when you first proc DSR. I would say TOP is definitely better than Wu, even if raw experience on content. By now, we got 3 Eurekas. Now, we only got 1 Criterion Dungeon. Deep Dungeon is Deep Dungeon. MSQ is MSQ. Dungeon is Dungeon. Roulette is Roulette. EX Trial is EX Trial. Although, the 4 Fin so far has been better than... I mean, Byakko is a joke. Suzaku's good. My point is, we are comparing Endwalker right now versus Storm's Blood, which is 5 years ago. You would expect by now the game would have been leapfrogging, become better. Dragonflight got better. You guys make fun of World of Warcraft. Dragonflight has been better than what? Dragonflight has been better than BFA. Dragonflight has been better than Shadowlands. Now, also, WoW has been setting the bar way too low because of BFA and because of Shadowlands. Okay? So for Dragonflight to become like, it's like Endwalker. You are comparing to something that the bar was really low. For people like him and a lot of you that thinks that Final Fantasy XIV, wow, this patch seems mean. Wait, when is the last time you got a good rally quest? Oh, I like Boscha. Shut the fuck up. Boscha was bad. The last good rally quest was Eureka. That was 4 years ago. So don't come and tell me Boscha is good, you fucking dumbass. Where the fuck were you guys? Did you guys not experience the good? Eureka's better than your mom.
Hey, man. For good? No.
Yeah, nah. Of course not. I don't expect her to quit 14. Of course not. I think she's just taking a break, and I think this is the best time. It's just a very small patch. It's just Deep Dungeon. It's just Relic. This is the perfect time for her to just come back stronger, you know? And by the way, she's doing really well in Genshin Impact, man. I think her channel grew streaming Genshin Impact, you know?
But
that's good for her, yeah.
I got burnt out. I didn't think it.
Okay, now I did not expect her to say that. Because for me, right, I thought Zepla is very close to Mr. Happy, where it doesn't matter how long she played, how long Mr. Happy played, the way they play the game is very healthy. They don't go straight endgame. They don't just chase endgame like me, Xeno, and a lot of other streamers. They play every content, and they have like a community to play around with as well. Happy got unlimited content in this game, in Final Fantasy XIV, because Happy do everything. I don't do everything. But Zepla also do everything. When you look at players who do everything, usually they get burnt out lesser, slower. I've been watching Zepla for a long time already. So actually for her to come out to say that she got burnt out actually surprised me, because everybody will get burnt out. Because since 4.0, there isn't a lot of brand new content, and or content that you don't already expected. Savage, 3-day max. Max, 1 week. Ultimate, 14 days max. Or casual rating, mid-core rating max, 2 months. You know the expectation. There's nothing for you to change your routine when it comes to playing Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV is very, very standardized. You know when, you know what you need to do to get everything done. So eventually, like people like Style, you see Style is already like thinking, not want to continue playing Final Fantasy XIV. A lot of people quit Final Fantasy XIV. Pharaohs. Actually, where the f is Pharaoh? I haven't seen Pharaoh in a while. Pharaoh's the samurai, quit the game. Joe, quit the game. Larry, haven't seen him in a while, but he's still creating content. Atis, quit the game. You start to see a lot of people start dropping out already. And this is not the last time you will see it. The only survivors in the directory, me, Xeno, and Mr. Happy. We are the 3 that started since 1.0. Zepla came in later. A lot of people came in later, but you start to see the cycle. I always say this, you give new content creator 2 expansion, you will start seeing them either stop playing the game more, you will start seeing them more casual, and you will start seeing them quit the game. Or just stop playing the game. Very standard. I have seen it for the last 10 years already. Llama Todd is going to be the next. Llama Todd has been playing super hardcore since Storm's Blood. This is Llama's 2nd expansion. And Llama already said a lot of times on his own stream, you know, sometimes I need to take a break from this game. I feel like I'm playing this game too much, a little bit burnout. Then you start to see Llama start to go variety a little bit. That's the process. That's why like even Xeno, okay, Xeno didn't really go variety. Xeno just react. I start to play more other games. I start to play other MMO. I start to go back to play FPS genre a little bit. That I started gaming, you know, in FPS. I start to mix it up a little bit. Xeno also play some other game. Like Xeno now also start to play like some horror game, React, Final Fantasy XIV. Like Xeno don't just do Final Fantasy XIV anymore. Smart. Obviously, Happy is doing the right thing. Happy is just all over the place, doing all the right thing, right? But you notice a lot of Final Fantasy only streamer, or they invested, you start to realize that they get burnt out at some point. Very natural, because there's nothing to do in this game.
What happened to me? Because I played Final Fantasy XIV non-stop, all day, every day, for like 6 or 7 years already. I've played all the time.
And this is not me saying boomer, okay boomer, right? Even when she say that 5 to 7 years, that's about the expected time. I expect 2 to 3 expansions before people start getting burnt out.
All the time. I've always been in the game, or at least, you know, logged in, running around. This is the first time where the patch came, and I didn't feel like I need to log in. I don't feel like I've gotta play right now.
You notice me and Xeno didn't give a fuck about Deep Dungeon? It's not because we don't care about the content. It's because we know we will be doing it eventually. And for us, it's not a content we have to do to get viewers. Me and Xeno are past that already. Me and Xeno are past, let's stream this on patch day to get viewers already. We used to do that in 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. 5.0, 6.0, all we care right now is to stream things that our viewer wants to watch. And just stream so that our viewers... Basically, we are streaming for the community now. Except for Ultimate, obviously. Except for Savage. Those are what we are. Those are what we do. If I were to ask Xeno's viewer, 10 Xeno's viewer, and I will ask 10 of my own viewer, what do they expect to watch? I can tell you for Xeno, they expect to watch Xeno PF Savage. They expect to see Xeno just react. For me, they expect me to do Ultimate proc, and they expect me to do PF. Like Savage proc, for example, you don't watch me and Xeno for Savage proc. Savage proc, you can close your eyes, throw a rock. There is 10 other teams that is doing better than us. And if you want to watch the competitive nature of Savage proc, you will not watch me and Xeno. That's why in Ultimate, I get more viewers than Xeno, because Ultimate is my content. Ultimate, I cover JP. Ultimate, I cover China. Ultimate, I cover NA. I cover all audiences when I do Ultimate. That's why when it comes to Ultimate, I get the most viewer when it comes to Ultimate. But when you look at PF, Xeno get the most viewer, because that is Xeno's area. So when it comes to Deep Dungeon, right? We ain't doing Deep Dungeon on patch day. It's not our content. It's not what our viewer want. Every streamer have a different niche. Every streamer just need to find it. You need to capitalize on it. Everybody go through this process. They will start to understand it, you know?
Even though, obviously, I love the Loporrits. They added the Loporrit Beast Tribe. They're adorable little bunnies. They're my favorite Beast Tribe, probably. So I want to do those quests.
You don't have to immediately, right?
I want to do Deep Dungeon at least once with a group. But those two things alone don't make me feel like I need to drop everything else I'm doing and do that right now.
And this is healthy, by the way. What she's doing is actually healthy.
And I've been really spending a lot of time since yesterday thinking about why, like what happened to me. Is it...
No. I think that is a natural process. It took her long enough. Everyone will reach this point. Now, hearing from her, right, actually, I think makes everybody feel better. Even the hardcore raiders, even non-streamers, even hardcore world pro players, they start asking themselves, what's the point? At some point, we just raid log. We just get our beast, and we don't play the game anymore. We just play something else until the next race comes in, you know, like world first players. Even them been asking this question a while. But obviously, you don't hear those people say about it, right? They are not streamers, they are not content creators, they don't voice it out loud, right? But then when you listen to fellow content creators that also like the game and play the game so long, and then when they say it like that, like same for Style. I talked to Style offline a little bit. Like, you know, Style is like saying that she doesn't want to play 14 anymore. She's not even sure whether it's the game for her to main in the years to come. There's not much things she can do. She done everything. Till she play like what, 9 alts or 13 alts or something? Man, that's insane. Like, what the f else is she gonna squeeze out from the game, right? So I'm like, that is very normal. That is very, very normal. Take the time, do something else. Treat it as an opportunity to do something else.
I think it's normal. I think there's a few different factors at play here. A big one being the fact I just got really burnt out from top. I think this is the biggest one. But before that, what had been happening in the...
You see, for her, right, I actually never thought she would actually grind Ultimate. But she has to do it. If you play this game for 5, 7, 8 years, it is only natural that the only thing left that you haven't done and can do is Ultimate. What you want her to do for 7 years? Just do dungeons, just do roulette, just do gathering, just do crafting. No, right? Eventually, you will reach the point. Final Fantasy XIV does not have a lot of things to do. And then you got those WoW players just coming in. Speak for yourself. I got unlimited things to do every day. I have leveling. I got 19 jobs I need to level. I got my MSQ haven't done. I haven't done all the Savage. I want to go back to do them. I want to do all the content minimum item level. I want to do it blind. I want to do the EX trial. I want to farm all the mount. You just realize that everything you just said, I also done them, right? So when I tell you there's nothing to do, I included all those things that you already could do. You were just late. It's not that you have a lot to do. You are late. For you as a new player to tell me that I am wrong because you started late and you got a lot of things to do, you are false advertising. Because why? By the time you reach where Zepla reach, by the time you reach where I am, you will start to realize, holy f***, there's nothing to do. Once you are caught up to the expansion, there's nothing for you to do. No, it doesn't take 3 years.
Moving around a lot, I couldn't play a lot. I did story, I did some raiding. But there were a lot of times where I just started the stream and we would only talk about Final Fantasy XIV. And I felt like I only need to focus on Final Fantasy XIV. I should only talk about Final Fantasy XIV. Only. I felt really married to it. I felt very tied into it. But in the process of me trying to always have something to talk about that's related to Final Fantasy XIV for a year, A lot of times there was not something.
Which is fine, because I think she grinded past the point where she succeeded. Like right now, she's in the prime position to do whatever the fuck she wants. She doesn't need to explain to anybody. She doesn't need to please anybody regarding what she do now. She made it. She passed the threshold already. For a lot of us, the moment we pass that threshold, we can do whatever the fuck we want. This applies to just streamer in general, not just Final Fantasy XIV. This applies to streamer in general. Once we pass that mark, we can do whatever the fuck we want. A lot of people are trying to get to that mark. Zepla passed the mark. You know, she earned it. You know?
And a lot of times, especially last fall, when I felt like I was just lost, I felt like, what am I even doing? There were times when I would just go to the FFXIV subreddit. I would go to FFXIV discussion subreddit.
I had the similar meltdown during Storm's Blood. Stop pausing. I'm gonna pause your live in the channel. I'm gonna pause you for 10 minutes. Ooh, don't pause the video. You just got paused 10 minutes. And now you're gonna listen. Did you guys remember the one point I was telling people, right? If there is no new content after going through 3.0 and 2.0, again, like I said, typical 2 expansion, right? If Storm's Blood doesn't have anything new that make me feel rejuvenated to play 14, I'm not gonna quit it, but I will eventually just play it casually. I will just raid for fun. There's no reason for me to hardcore. I will just raid for fun. I was telling my viewer, maybe I'll just go back to society and find a job, because dude, what the fuck am I gonna do with this game? I haven't reached the point that I am now today where I reached the threshold. Maybe I need to go and find a job. And then UCOP happened. UCOP and Eureka rejuvenated my passion for the game. And then, now we are back to the second year already. We are now back to the second expansion, guys. 7.0 better be better. Because if 7.0 don't change anything, if I have to play 7.0, just like me playing 5.0 and 6.0, I'm not sure whether I can play Final Fantasy XIV for the next whole saga, aka maybe 10 years.
It started to feel, for me, the cracks started to show. I was tired. Like, it got to a point where people were actually getting mad. Like, people were getting upset in the comments of our videos we'd post. Because people are just like, tired of it. I'm tired of it. They're fucking tired of it. People are like, oh, what are we going to talk about today? Are we talking about how Criterion Dungeon rewards aren't good? I'm like, well, yeah, I guess that's what we're going to talk about. I was already burning myself out. Lately, it's just became very, very clear to me. You can't just scrape the bottom of the barrel all the time for the little shred of content.
And that's why she started doing endgame. Every Final Fantasy XIV player will eventually get there to do the endgame, because there's nothing else to do already, you know?
That you can do, but I feel like it happens a lot in FFXIV community. Like, anytime there's any teeny tiny little bit of drama, the smallest little droplet of drama, people gotta milk it for all it's worth because there's nothing else to talk about.
Yes, exactly. And this is not just streamer, by the way. This is also the players. There's a reason why the smallest drama gets so much attention in the Final Fantasy XIV community, because there is nothing to do in the game. Why do you guys think the RP community have so much drama? I wouldn't say that I am in it, but for the brief period that I touched it, why do you guys think that the RP community have the most crazy drama? Because they don't do anything else. They are only role playing. They don't raid. Some of them does. Most of them don't. That's why they got every story they can have drama they have. Let's shift the blame to Square Enix a bit. Let's shift the blame to Yoshi P a bit. If Yoshi P give the players actually more retention, more content for us to keep doing, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. People feeling this way. Casuals milking for every drama. I can give you another example. Sophie, when she started being a streamer, she's playing Final Fantasy only. Now she don't even play much. She still do. You know, they have like their Nest raid, they have like their community days and stuff. Yeah. Because really, that's you can't. I'm just waiting for Sophie to do an ultimate.
Which is the fact that you got a major patch every 4 months. Between that, you'll have an incremental patch that has not a lot in it. Just not enough to keep people busy all the time.
Dude, hearing this from Zepla feels so good, man. Because I've been saying this for the last 5 years, and people give me shit for it. Now that she's saying exactly word by word everything I said, I feel good, man. I feel justified, man. Whew. I feel the chi. I feel the energy. I feel like I'm right.
To be like to run the content mill in a normal way that other games do. I'm not saying that that's entirely bad. It's one of the things that makes Final Fantasy XIV such unique and
that's what makes Final Fantasy XIV good. Because by being not enough content, we get the opportunity to explore something else. If Final Fantasy XIV have non-stop content, Baldo wouldn't be a React streamer. You motherfuckers love him being a React streamer. I love him being a React streamer. If Final Fantasy XIV didn't give Baldo the opportunity to not have enough things to do in the game, Baldo wouldn't have React. So in a way, it's a good thing. But In order for it to be a good thing, you need to understand that. The moment you understand that, the moment you let go. This is also the same for World of Warcraft, by the way. The moment World of Warcraft players, right, learn to let go and realize that that is not the only game you have to play, and then you do something else, your whole mind opens up. You start to take it easy, you start to do it correctly. Because when you are only strictly closing yourself off and do one thing only, right, it's very difficult to see the pros and cons. But once you see it and you accept it, it becomes way better. Final Fantasy XIV streamers eventually realize that. Every streamer go through this process. Or even players, I guess.
Good MMO, and I've said it many times, is that it doesn't pressure you to always be playing like a lot of MMOs do. You can just go in, you can play the new content, and the new content usually will take you a week, maybe 2, and you can just go back to whatever else you were doing. And that's the way that they built the game.
Yes,
In
that's
fact,
a good thing.
with this new incremental,
Because I am 42 years old, I'm not 24. I do not want Final Fantasy XIV to be like Final Fantasy XI. There ain't no way. There's no way I grind the game like I grind before. Ain't no way. Now that being said, that doesn't mean that, hey, Strummer, if you accepted it, then why are you complaining the game got nothing to do? You are actually playing the game that you wanted the game to be played, right? Yes. But that doesn't mean that, hey, look, man, if I go to McDonald's every day and McDonald's don't serve pizza, every time I eat pizza from Pizza Hut, I'm obviously going to complain and say, why the f does McDonald's not have pizza? Why does McDonald's not make pizza? Oh, but if you want pizza, you can just go Pizza Hut, right? McDonald's is mainly serving burgers, right? Yeah, but why can't McDonald's make pizza too? Wouldn't it be easier if I want to eat both pizza and burger, I can just go to McDonald's and I get both, rather than I go to McDonald's and get burger, and then tomorrow I have to travel 15 minutes to Pizza Hut and get pizza. Same for Final Fantasy XIV, right? Why do I have to play 14 and WoW? Why do I have to do Raid in 14 and Ultimate in 14 and then go WoW to play Mythic Plus? When if 14 have Mythic Plus, then I can just play 14. Don't get me wrong, I am totally okay with the arrangement that I play 14 for Raid and Ultimate and I play WoW for Mythic Plus. I am fine with that arrangement. But you can't stop me from asking that question. Why can't 14 be more grindy? Why can't 14 have more things for me to do? Why can't I play 14 12 hours, 24 hours a day? Even though I don't want it, even though it is good for it is, I get to play something else, but I wouldn't mind it.
there's a relic weapon step. The relic weapon is supposed to be something that you work on slowly over a long period of time. It's supposed to be the thing that's keeping you busy as a casual who
For her, right, over the years, she also started to realize that the relic quest becomes shit. Larry put out a tweet 2 years ago, and I agreed with him, and he agreed with me. He was like, remember the days when you would do relic non-stop just so that you can get a little bit of power up and you feel good about it? What happened to them? And then I replied Larry, I'm like, I know, right? I guess you and me are the only 2 left people that really wants to grind this. Now, 2 years later, Larry actually brought up that tweet, and Larry is like, you know what? I would rather do ARF again. Because during that time, right, we were talking about how relic were meaningful. You got a nice step, you got an Alexandrite map, you go out and dig an Alexandrite, you do the books, you grind likes, different window, different content, grind likes, be efficient or inefficient. And then we talk about how all this used to be fun. And then when suddenly in Heaven's Word, it became ARF. And then Larry started to complain like, why the f are we just doing ARF? That is so boring. What happened? Why is Relic like that? Now 4 years later, Larry pulled out the tweet again, and Larry is like, you know what? I will go back to do ARF. Because right now it's a f***ing joke. Right now it is just 1,500 tomes every f***ing step. They don't even change it. Larry is like, dude, I would love to do some ARF now. I was laughing my ass off. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, that's how Relic Quest became.
wants to log in more. From what I understand, the step is just turn in like 1,500 tomestones or something. Which I could do it right now. Like I could log in and get it and then log out without doing anything because I already have that currency. Just it's not a lot.
Yep.
You just pay for it and you're done. It's not necessarily
Animus weapon in 2.2. I think each Alexandrite costs 800 tome. You need 800 tome to buy a map. And I think, if I'm not remembering wrongly, I think you need 70. So if you think about it, okay, let's just say you grind a lot, but you also take advantage of the daily. Let's just say you do 50 of them, okay? That's 40,000 tomes. Nowadays, it's only 1,005. What the f happened? What happened? What happened to the game?
bad for a player. There's not FOMO, right? There's not pressure.
Relic should be FOMO though. That's the thing. For me, Relic should be FOMO. If I am better than you, If I am a nerd, if I got no life, if I can get it faster than you, if I can grind 10 more hours than you, I should get it faster than you. That is how I show my supremacy. Relic should be FOMO.
To constantly pay.
For me, anyway.
Sub. But from a content creation standpoint, for me trying to always have make something out of nothing all the time, and like the news all the time, and what's happening with FF14 now, it's just, I was already burning myself out.
That's why, man, God bless the PF. I want to give a special shout out to the Final Fantasy XIV PF community. You guys is what make my channel successful. And yes, I yell at you guys a lot. Yes, I ban you guys a lot. Yes, I talk you guys a lot, but you guys are the one that generate content for me, for Xeno, for a lot of streamers out there that is doing PF. PF is the only content that Final Fantasy content creator can all draw success from. Every other content in Final Fantasy XIV, you can try, it will run out. PF is a gold mine. PF never dries out. We get to play different job. We get to optimize. We get to play for fun. We get to do shred. Dude, Ilya, I would like to say special shout out to the special shout out Ilya. Ilya, during Eden's verse, for that 9 months of content drought, Ilya gave us the most content. Every single time we go into P8S, we talk about Ilya, we shit on the strap. I'm gonna be honest with you, at that point, I don't even care whether Ilya is a nice person or bad person. I'm just glad that Ilya made light rampant the way it is, and we talk about it for 9 months. PF, Ilya, dynamic duo. Thank you so much. Thank you, PF. Thank you, Ilya. Thank you, Ilya, for making P8S so difficult, and Parks can't do them, and then we get trapped there for 9 months. We drain the out of it. We talk multiple people. And also we make multiple people happy for getting the clear. Thank you so much.
I started to feel really negative and not very good. Then we did DSR around the Christmas holiday. We went hardcore hours. We did 8 hours a day. And
yeah, they were pretty hardcore.
God, I loved it so much. I loved it so much. It was the hardest.
I'm glad she enjoyed it, because if you are a Final Fantasy XIV player, you cannot say that raiding is optional. If you are a true Final Fantasy fan, you will know that. Now, obviously, if you play standalone single-player titles, obviously, you are only given MSQ and bosses. But PvE, right? In any Final Fantasy game, right? PvE is the essence of Final Fantasy. The epic battles create the epic music so that it becomes Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is not Final Fantasy if you don't have a boss fight with epic music. They go hand in hand. If they only make the battle hard without the music, it's not Final Fantasy. If they give you corny music without a challenge, it's not Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy PvE and music is what makes Final Fantasy. The story is what gets you to that boss. When you play a single player Final Fantasy, when you play Final Fantasy VII, you get to fight Sephiroth. You go into the mansion, you open the safe, you get to fight the numbers. Final Fantasy X, you go to Mount Zazak. Hell, I don't remember what the it is, but that Seymour was difficult, right? These are what makes this Final Fantasy so epic. So if you play Final Fantasy XIV, and you only do MSQ, and then you only do solo instances, and then you do a normal mode trial, and you don't even do the raid, how do you actually really enjoy or call yourself a true Final Fantasy player? Oh, Final Fantasy XIV story is good enough for me to say, yeah, I know, but you should try some PvE, you should do some EX trial, you should do some raid. And once you get that, you start to realize that the games get better, the games get better, you know? So like when Zepla say she loved it so much, yes, she should. Everybody would. No one does a Savage, and no one does an ultimate and say, this thing, this is the last thing I want to do in the game. No. Your experience is only bad because you are playing with bad people. Your experience is only bad because you didn't want to play better. You play like a idiot that don't use trick attack in 3rd GCD. You use your trick attack once every 5 minutes. That's why you think that the game is That's why you think that the content is not for you, because you didn't want to try. But if you try, just do the dummy rotation.
It was incredibly intense. It was so much pressure, and I was there for it. I was just ready to do my best every day. For me, it was just like this oasis of like, wow, I remember why I love this game. I remember what makes this game so good. I remember what makes the content so fun. It's this. This is the pinnacle.
And statistics doesn't lie. Final Fantasy XIV Ultimate is when the game get the most attention. Numbers don't lie. Ultimate draws the biggest number and crowd to the game. You don't have to do it, dude. Okay, this is the misconception that I think a lot of end gamers have. You don't have to clear the fight to enjoy the fight. If you are a casual, you don't have to clear all 4 turns to consider a savage raider. Just do your turn 1 and turn 2. Turn 1 and turn 2 is free. Anybody can do turn 1 and turn 2. And if you do turn 1 and turn 2, and you do have the appetite, you want to do turn 3 and turn 4, go for it. But if you try to do savage, and you try your best to enjoy it, and even if you can't clear the fight, I am happy for you because you enjoy a piece of content that you should be doing. Okay, ultimate is a little bit too far, obviously. But then, I mean, if you don't clear turn 4, you can't do ultimate anyway. But hey, you can do them 2 years later. You can do them the next expansion. No pressure. Nobody's chasing you in this game, right? But you need to do it. You need to enjoy it. You know what I mean? Wizard clear all 4. Yeah, I was watching his stream.
We all have to work together and do our absolute best in a synchronized way to defeat this continent. It was so sweet. I loved it. I felt like such a revitalized interest for the game with DSR. And it made me think, well, I got so much enjoyment out of that, I should just raid. I should raid some more.
Okay. That's a little bit too fast for her. If you are already 8 hours for the first time doing an ultimate and then immediately less than 1 or 2 months and dive into TOP, I think you will get burnt out. I say this a lot of time on stream before. I would love to have 3 ultimate. I would love to have 3 ultimate every 6 months to push me to the limit back to back to back. But the truth is, after DSR and after TOP, I'm not sure whether I will want a 6.5 ultimate right now. If Yoshi P says, okay guys, I'm gonna give you another ultimate in 6.5, I will be really happy. But at the same time, I'll be like, oh no, here we go again. It's very, very vexing. I don't think you guys understand. Progging an ultimate takes a heavy toll. It is not just the 8 days or 10 days, and for some of you, 3 weeks or 1 month. The pain and suffering comes after the prog. You start to realize how much it takes. You start to realize how much you recover. You start to realize how much you sacrifice, that you could be having fun doing something else with your friend, but now you sit there 4 hours a day to do this instead. It takes a heavy toll. It's very, very tiring. As much as I love it and as much as I would welcome it, every 6 months or every 8 months an ultimate is a little bit too fast. And for Zepla in her situation right now, right? After, years of not doing it, finally going through 8 hours and then immediately dive into TOP, and TOP is such a complete mind of an ultimate compared to the typical ultimate. Yeah, I think it's way too fast. Maybe that's why, yeah, she get burnt out,
So I got ready for top, and I wasn't as prepared for top.
Oh yeah, what Ari says right there is one of the things that really my body up. The 2 weeks of ultimate without working out, the very next week going back, it me completely. Even today, I cannot go back into shape that I was at my peak when I was working out.
Didn't have time to put the whole group together. Didn't have time to meet the group before we started. Didn't know most people in the initial group. And so when we went in there, it was kind of a disaster.
Sometimes you have to understand, right? If you only done a certain degree, you can only find a certain degree of people. You cannot just, hey, I cleared TOP. I cleared DSR. And then suddenly get into the best suited environment for you to proc TOP in the best possible way. No, right? You only started raiding, you raid 8 hours. Yes, you cleared some T before, but you were just doing them when you feel like it. You are not playing with the people that is like, want to get it done ASAP, right? So obviously for her, the people that she's going to meet, the people she's going to find, the players that she's going to play, the caliber of players she's going to find, it's obviously going to be all over the place. And for an ultimate situation, all this all over the place, one little wrong can just trip everything over. That's why for ultimate group, we are very careful. A lot of us, Happy, Zeno, me, Zeph, every one of you doing hardcore pro or ultimates, not Savage. Savage, you can join any group. As long as you put in 8 hours a day average and you rate 5 hours a day minimum, you will get week 1. Ultimate is very different. 1 thing is off, it could constitute to a week of pro. 2 things is wrong, that group could disband. Ultimate, we have to be very, very, very careful, because as much as you love to do it, if one fuse is off, the whole thing's crumbled down,
By the time we started recruiting, most people had already found a group. So it was really, really rough trying to get it together, and then
oh yeah, and the timing for her to form the group, yeah, true.
Week 1 was a disaster. We had to replace so many people. There were people who just couldn't keep up. There were people that...
Wait, she had to replace people in week 1 already? Yo, I need this story, man. What happened to us that? Wait, what?
We're not consistent enough to do the content.
Oh, consistency, she mentioned.
I would say it felt harder than DSR, but not like in a fun way. It just...
Ultimate hardest difficulty is always about... I guess you can say this the same for WoW raiding. If there's anything similar to Final Fantasy XIV Ultimate Raid and WoW raiding, which I always say is a complete different game, complete set of logistics, complete set of requirement, complete different ball game, right? But if there's one thing, right? Final Fantasy XIV Ultimate and WoW Mythic Raid have in common, you can find the other 7/21 people or more that can sit down there for that long hour and perform consistently. The difficulty of these two games rate is not about the difficulty of the fight. Our human brain is designed in a way, if you're playing with people who can always do it, you will always progress. The problem is that when people is missing and you don't get that progression, you fall behind. And that right there is the problem in both games. You see, in 14, right, finding 7 people to sit for 18 hours a day for 10 days is difficult. In WoW, in a hardcore WoW guild, having 25 people to sit there 6 hours a day for 5 days is extremely difficult. Yet, you get Echo and Liquid that can find 20, 30, 40, even non-players, developers, add-on developers, to sit there with you 16 hours a day. That is mission impossible. That's the pinnacle of WoW difficulty. Forming Liquid and forming Echo and forming Method, that is the difficulty in meeting rating in WoW. We are not even delving into the difficulty of the fight. Just keeping that going, that's the difficulty, you know? In Final Fantasy XIV, in a way, it's the same, except way smaller scale. Way smaller scale, right? 8 people. Sit down there, 16 hours. Now, I talk to a lot of WoW players. A lot of WoW players say that we Final Fantasy XIV players are f***ing crazy. Because WoW players, usual, even hardcore WoW players, would never sit there. To the WoW players, right? Raiding 16 hours a day is inefficient. Because you can't focus for 16 hours. It's just not possible. But obviously, when you listen from their POV, it makes sense. Because you are dealing with 20 people. 7 people is much more doable. So for Final Fantasy XIV statics, right? Raiding 10 hours, 16 hours, 12 hours, when we consider that as hardcore, is pretty normal. Right? But in WoW, they say that we are crazy. It's not efficient. You guys should just go to bed. Why do you guys keep pulling? Don't you guys talk about strats? In WoW, right? Sometimes every pull in between is 10 minutes. Final Fantasy XIV, every pull between is 10 seconds.
Felt kind of miserable to prog. And I would have probably stuck with it if our group had stayed together. I did that for longer than I should have. I was doing top, and if you were watching some of the top streams, you probably seen that I wasn't having a good time.
If you don't have fun in Ultimate, it is very easy to see. The moment you realize that the group is not sticking together and you realize that the group have something off, the viewers can see it. Because you can't hide it. If you are progging 16 hours with people that you just know at some point it's not good enough, and you know that if you got a choice that you don't want to be there, you don't want to, people can feel it. People can see it. Your viewers can see it. That's why sometimes when it comes to an Ultimate, you will realize that despite the best players, they don't get the views. Despite the best players, you realize that the community is not as enjoyable. Like, you know, sometimes when you hang out in the chat, you can feel it. When you look at Arthars, when you look at Kindred, you can tell that they genuinely want to be there. You genuinely can tell that their alignment, their focus, what they want to do is straight. They know exactly what they want. They know exactly what they're shooting for. That's why you realize that those streams start become fun to watch. But then, if something goes wrong, let's just say somebody decided to throw a tantrum, somebody decided to not show up, somebody decided that the group is not good enough, they start half-assing it, you will start to realize that the group dynamic is not there anymore, which then slows down the prog, and then you will notice that your viewers stop being interested. For Zepla, like she said that, you can tell that she is not having a good time on the stream.
I was straight up not having a good time. We weren't making progress. We were just wiping on P1 over and over and over and over and over. I got desperate to the point I started
P1 is hard.
keeping a log of mistakes so we could keep track of, well, who's making mistakes.
Wait, really?
And so this way we can all like have accountability. And
no way, she's memeing.
What is the group?
There's no way. There's no way. There is no way. Somebody zoom in that book. There is no way she wrote that name. That right there she wrote down are random things to buy in Walmart. There's no way that is a book keeping tabs of people making mistakes. There's no way.
And people would ask me, well, what's the tally for the day? So I was doing this for the team.
Yo, I actually wanted to do this ever since you called. I want to keep a tally on stream. Whoever makes the most mistake will have a +1. And I guarantee you, over the course of any prog, I guarantee you, I am the one that make the least. I was told not to do it because it's way too toxic. Number 1, you are discrediting your static member. Number 2, you are making them a potential witch hunt target in the future that they don't get into groups, you know? That's why I never dare to do it. That's why I never dare to do it. Holy Zepla have a book for it. I'm gonna buy that book off her. If I meet her at FanFest, I'm gonna try to buy that book from her.
I would always keep track of how many mistakes that I've made that caused a wipe every day, day after day after day. Do you see how many pages of this shit there is?
There's no way. I refuse to believe.
page after page after page of like me keeping track of all of it. But I shouldn't have to do that. I should have known already that was a red flag. You need people in your team that are self-motivated.
Yes.
And that are accountable themselves.
Yes.
If you see like my initial thoughts.
That goes for Savage too, by the way. You might take some sort of accountability, right?
After we cleared DSR, I made like a little video summarizing my thoughts on it. And I actually got some people criticizing that and kind of upset about what I said. Because I had said in it that DSR was such an incredible combat experience, such an incredible battle experience, that reminded me of why the combat in FFXIV is so good. Because it forces everyone to use all their buttons. It forces the team to work together. You have to do it all. You have to play your best.
Ultimate is the content that I play MMORPG for the last 21 years that is perfectly tuned to the point that you can't carry anybody. On your first clear, on your whole prop, you cannot carry anybody. There's no such thing as carry. If anybody were to come out and say, oh, you got carried by Ultimate, that person who say that is just an idiot. If the content then drags for 4 years, like if you were to do UCOP today, then sure, you can get carried. But when they first release, like now, basically anybody who clear Ultimate from 6.3 launch all the way until 7.0, you literally are pulling your own weight. It is impossible to carry you for current content Ultimate. It is impossible. Everybody earn it. And that's the part I think what makes me feel that Ultimate is the best content in terms of endgame any MMORPG I've ever put out. Now, I never done Mythic Raid. I never done World Pro Mythic Raid in WoW before, so I'm not sure. But at least for all the games that I ever played, I do think that they perfectly do what they can. For the player base at the current skill level, it matches. How the developer do it and how the player do it, it matches. Because I can tell you, they could have made TOP way harder. There's a lot of mechanics I'm missing. And there's a lot of mechanics were already being forgiving. They could have made TOP way harder. They didn't. And that is scary. For a player, it's actually scary. We could still be pushed even further. I'm not sure whether I'm ready for it now, but progressively, they are giving it to us. From UCOP to UU to T to DSR to TOP now. They keep pushing that button, you know, they keep pushing us forward, right? You know what I mean? That's what makes me excited. And that's why, for me, Ultimate is the only content in Final Fantasy XIV that satisfies me. It is also because of Ultimate, which makes me not give a shit about Savage more and more.
See battle content in the game in a new light. It made me see the rest of the battle content in the game in a new light that I hadn't seen it in before.
Is she gonna starting to find out how dungeons are bad, how EX Trial are boring, how even Savage is not interesting anymore? Because that's exactly how I feel.
Compared to that incredible experience that I had, doing the expert roulettes is just not interesting to me from a combat perspective. It's not interesting to me. The trials, like the newest trial.
I swear I didn't watch this before. I swear this is the first time I watched this video. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? See? Arthars said this. Arthars said this 5 years ago.
Trial was really a face roll. We were actually going to make a guide for it, and I was working on the guide for the new extreme trial.
Dude, this is the exact reason. Holy shit. This is the exact reason I never made a guide. I am not interested in making a guide for EXtra. I am not interested to even make a guide for Savage because I am not even interested in those content anymore myself. I would love to do it, and I'm interested in those content because of Park. I would rather learn the dumb strat that the community come up with, like Ilya, like Rampant, rather than trying to fix it myself. Because that is content. Making my own strat and then do it efficiently is not content. It's efficiency. It's not content. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. If I were to put on the content creator hat right here, I gotta say, the more you guys up, the more time I spend on my weekly, the better it is. I hate one-shot party. Okay, well, the cat is out of the bag. This is why I never do my reclears on Reset. I always do my reclear on Thursday, Friday, because I know it's more trappy. And I complain about it because it's trappy, but I love it.
We decided not to release it because you don't need the guide. I was working with Selly. We were gonna work together and make a guide. We had it all written. Like we had like all the...
I think Zepla finally hit it. Yeah. After watching this video, I think Zepla hit it. DSR was the turning point for her. Once you do an ultimate, you can't look back. Okay, correction. Once you clear your first ultimate and you realize that you have what that takes, that is the end of the line. From that point on, it's about motivating. From that point on, it's about finding the right people. But from that point on, there's no turning back. You cannot look at Savage the same anymore, really. Now, obviously, there are still purposes for Savage, even for hardcore group. Like for me, as much as I say I don't give a shit about Savage anymore, but that doesn't mean that I'm not doing Savage anymore. You have to repurpose Savage. Savage would be a time to see whether this team is for me. Savage is time for me to... I play 5 alts. Savage static will be a good time that 2 of my alts get to get their weekly clear and we can do splits and my main can get multiple gear and then I can use it to pass. You have to repurpose it. How can I use that to learn a new job? How can I use that to find a better group? How can I use that to get gear? How can I use that to judge which player, what type of player I want for Ultimate, you know? It's no longer about, let's get world first, let's get top 10, let's proc as good as we can. No. It's about logistics. For me, anyway. Savage is about logistics already. Oh yeah, and also Savage, this has been a dream for the last 7 years. If there is a all-female static, even if you guys are mid-core, and if you guys need one guy in your group, I'm down. Just drop me a DM. 6.4, I'm open.
You can just go in and have no idea what you're doing and clear the fight without an issue. I play FFXIV for the story and for raiding. Those are the 2 main reasons that I play FFXIV. The friends of mine that I know that are still playing FFXIV right now, just waiting for the next patch, are either like, no, they're doing the deep dungeon content right now, which I will do eventually.
Yeah, me and Zeno is going to do deep dungeons sometimes this weekend. No rush, right? Cute. I've never done a deep dungeon with Zeno before. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait for Zeno to onslaught into a mob and trigger the bomb and kill us at floor 95.
In an FC, they're social players. They are taking screenshots. They're having fun. They're at nightclubs. They're DJing or any of that stuff. I know a lot of people that do that kind of thing, and I'm not interested in that. So for me, I care about story. I care about raids, and there's no raids out right now. Maybe when the Savage tier comes out, that could be fun to do. There's just nothing in the game right now that I want to do.
Surprising enough, this whole video didn't talk about the Hogwarts Legacy, even though she didn't mention it, and I think she's smart. She's trying to avoid it altogether. That drama probably made her took a step back. And now taking a step back, she realized that she could take more steps back. Everything in life happens for a reason. I do think that that little bit of drama probably helped her a lot in gathering her thoughts regarding not just this patch, but overall Final Fantasy. Her current experience, where she came from and where she is now. I actually nailed the f out of this. Holy shit. I've been watching this video for 1 hour.